What a play called by Tom Izzo in that timeout.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago! Oh my God! Kane with the overtime winner!
Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6'6" Kane Cunningham! Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions! Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
It is a Tullymore Thursday. Hi, everybody. Hope you're well. Glad you're with us here on X's and Bros. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. The Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000 and is some disappointment today, relief today, and impressive performance by a team on and off the field. Let's get to that right away, shall we? And that's the Tigers. They and Kevin McGonigal have agreed to an 8-year, $150 million contract. It'll begin in 2027. It'll take him through 2031. It has 3-year escalators, 3 years of escalation after that as well. And I think it's a brilliant move. It is something that a lot of teams are doing. So the Tigers, who have done it before with Cole Keith, can do it again. I do wonder just a little bit how certain other players may feel, but that doesn't matter. What matters is keeping a guy who has great bat-to-ball skills, a guy who is much better defensively than anybody probably thought he could handle early on in his career. Maybe eventually he gets here, but he's made the plays that he's supposed to make. A guy who extends innings, extends pitchers' counts, is gritty, is tough, does everything that you want a baseball player to be. I mean, he is the definition of what a grinded-out type of player you want on your team. And I think it's a really smart move on the part of the Tigers. So absolutely love it. We'll talk more about it as we move forward. Meanwhile, that team with Kevin McGonigal edges the Royals 2-1 for a second straight 2-1 win in the series and extends their winning streak to 5. Wenzel Perez led off the 8th with his first homer of the year. Jack Flaherty had his best outing, right, in a while. 6 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts. 1 run, 2 hits, 7 punch-outs. And Kenley Jansen locks down his 4th save of the year. The series wrap-up is today. Kiter Montero throwing against Chris Bubich. Really impressive numbers for the starters and McGonigal when we continue here on X's and Bros. Eric Hosmer, the 4-time Gold Glover, the All-Star MVP for Kansas City, will join us at 8:35. So really looking forward to that. Red Wings fall to the Panthers 8-1 in the final regular season game for both teams. We can go anywhere you want with this discussion this morning. Wait till you hear what Todd McClellan had to say about his team. He probably couldn't wait for the offseason to begin, and you wouldn't blame him because you as a Red Wings fan couldn't wait for the playoffs to begin without you. You're done watching this team look like that. It's not like it was theirs every single night because it wasn't. I mean, we talked to Paul Woods yesterday, and Paul Woods admitted, look, this is a team, if you think about it, isn't that far away. His words, okay? And can you come to that conclusion? How difficult is that? Well, they've got 92 points. Does it matter to you that those 92 points would be second in the Pacific? Edmonton's in the playoffs, and yet Detroit has more points. Anaheim's in the playoffs. Detroit's got more points. The Kings are in the playoffs. Detroit's got more points. Utah's in the playoffs. Detroit's got the same amount of points. That's not how it works. You can blame the National Hockey League on how they do their playoff system. It's been this way for a while. It's about the effort, you guys. You know that. Rick Bowness, remember what he said about Columbus 2 nights ago. He's the head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. They lost their last 6 home games. They lost back-to-back games. He was disgusted that his players didn't care enough. Todd McClellan felt the exact same way. Usually at this time of the year, coaches are saddened and disappointed if their team isn't continuing to play. They want to be in the playoffs, just like players do, obviously. It's not because of money and contracts and things of that nature. It's because of competitiveness. They want to play meaningful games. Yesterday, it was obviously not a meaningful game for either team. And yet Florida dominated. They scored 3 goals. It was a 1-1 game. They scored 3 goals in a 5-minute span in the second to put the game out of reach. It went from 1-1 to 4-1 in a matter of moments. And then they just added on. Bad goals allowed from the sidewall and a sloppy wraparound where you couldn't get enough push off your right leg to your left. John Gibson showed something last night where he got pulled after making 11 saves, giving up 4 goals. Enough is enough, right? Todd McClellan's probably saying, I had enough. I want to be around guys who actually give a crap. That's what he means by just wearing jerseys. You want to improve this team? Here's a way to improve it. Get some really good players. So the guys who are in the top 6 almost move down a line. Some of them, not all of them. Or fill those bottom 6 with some hungry players. Guys who would like to prove themselves a little bit. That'd be really nice. Do we think all top 6 forwards on this team are top 6 on just about anybody else? No, not all of them. My guess is that Alex DeBrincat is a top 6 on a lot of teams. I'm sure Lucas Raymond is a top 6 on a lot of teams. May not be a first liner, but he's a top 6. And Dylan Larkin, same thing. There's your 3 guys. Anybody else? Just wondering. Patrick Kane's not. And he's had a good year. He has. He's had a really good year. I love him on the power play. Love him for 12 and a half minutes, 13 minutes a game. He's not a top 6 guy. He's not 5-on-5. All right. He's good to shoot out. I don't know if that's enough to keep him or ask him to come back for another year, but you've got to improve with some of the hungry young guys and some of these young guys telling them, and I'm sure they have, the expectation for you is a lot higher. Last night was an embarrassment to that jersey, to this town, to the sport. No drive whatsoever. You should, a lot of times, I think my conversations with coaches in the past, you can find out about a lot of players, a lot, by how they play in those types of situations. Kane was a -3 last night, by the way. All right. The only guy to score was Justin Falk. Lucas Raymond at least had 4 shots on that. It's really embarrassing. And I'm sure no one's more embarrassed than they are. Against a bunch of guys last night for Florida who, most of them, you don't know their names. It's not like these are the guys who led that team to back-to-back Stanley Cups. But they showed something. They showed a hell of a lot more in their fan appreciation night than you did in yours. 8-1 was the final of that game last night. Detroit ends up dropping 6 of their last 7 on the year and 3 of the 4 meetings against Florida. Some basketball stuff, basketball info when we come back. Scores from last night. Pistons still waiting for their first round opponent. We'll get to all that and more as we roll on a Tully Moore Thursday, brought to you by Mitchell Hines Wealth.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Farrah's Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
If you're the largest selling comedy recording artist in history,
you might be a redneck.
Jeff Foxworthy, Friday, June 12th, inside the Soaring Eagle Entertainment Hall.
Our parents can't text and our children can't write.
Tickets start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office and online at etix.com. Laugh it up at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, Friday, June 12th with Jeff Foxworthy.
My father-in-law got his chest hair caught in his zipper.
SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Well, I don't even know if I'll answer your question, but I'll tell you that both teams came in with nothing on the line, and you can see their championship pedigree. So I'm going to compliment the Panthers. It runs throughout the organization. They came and they played, and it meant something to them.
This hurt a little bit, just the way you.
The angst, not a lot dissimilar to yours, right? Forget about the shots for a minute, because the shots were 27-25 in favor of Florida. Forget about the hits for a moment, because Detroit out-hit them 17-10, right? Detroit beat them in the face-off dot on a regular basis. They also had 20 giveaways. 20. Every player, just about. It's not fair to say all of them, but just about every player skated like it was the last game of the season, and they could not wait to reach the beach somewhere. Or maybe they reached the beach the day before. When the Lions were awful while playing at the Pontiac Silverdome, which was quite a bit, I covered them the entire time they were there. We had a saying, because they were usually out of it 3/4 of the way through the season. You remember those awful teams. We had a saying called 75 eyes. If you look at the guy, he's got 75 eyes. It was kind of a funny connotation. I get it. And it's not necessarily fair to all of them, but we couldn't help it. It meant they had the look that they just wanted to jump on 75 and drive south and keep going all the way to Florida to get out of the state of Michigan, because the season was basically over. You almost felt, not that we could see their eyes, but you almost felt that was the way it was with the Red Wings and their effort last night. Nothing says it better to recap the season than how Todd McClellan just answered that question. And I know there's some people who have said, this is a guy who should be fired, just clean everything out, get rid of him, get rid of Yzerman, so on and so forth. You can keep doing that. You know, you can go through coach after coach after coach. At some point, you're going to stop and you're going to, maybe, just maybe it's the players. Now, Steve Yzerman's job is to provide the players. Todd McClellan's job is to coach those players. Those players' job is to implement a game plan and do it with a lot of passion and skill. Steve Yzerman maybe hasn't provided the right players. You and I have talked about this almost ad nauseum. When are we going to see the players he's so protective of when it comes to the trade deadline? Don't think you care, with all due respect, that Grand Rapids wins a title. It's about the parent team. Remember, we had the Grand Rapids head coach on last week, and he said the same thing. This is about building guys for the Red Wings. And he's absolutely right. Todd McClellan may not have coached this team well enough with certain game plans. It's interesting how it turned around a year ago when he came in midway through. And it's interesting how it was good enough when they were in first place in the Eastern Conference on January 25th. But suddenly it's not. Come on. Stop shielding the players. Freddie sends us a text. Always appreciate it right around this time. It's always good stuff. What an embarrassment to not show up for Paul Woods' last game with an 8-1 loss. The team quit. Yzerman's star is losing glow. How do you disagree with that? I don't know how many people are pointing toward Yzerman, McClellan, or the players. My guess is most are pointing toward Yzerman, then the players, then McClellan.
It seems like it's a combination of all three, though, almost, when you talk to a lot of people.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Anytime there's a bad season in any sport, Andy, I think you're doing that with all three entities, aren't you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it seems like there's definitely finally more finger pointing at Steve, I feel like, but you still hear some people upset with McClellan. A lot of people just saying Larkin can't do enough.
In what way? He puts a lineup together. He's limited with his lineup, right?
Sure.
You're limited how many guys you can use.
I mean, yeah, you have what you
them at
have.
your disposal. Okay. And I'm not making excuses for him by any stretch. So please don't take it that way.
Well, we don't know how much input he has on who
but
can come up and be down to, and we don't know who.
Well, yeah, that's Sean Horkoff, Steve Eiserman.
Yeah.
That's their job, because Sean Horkoff's the GM of Grand Rapids and the assistant GM for the Red Wings. They get a gauge. They get reports every day on who they think is going to benefit this team. Todd McClellan, I doubt he has much of a say in it, even though he gets reports from Grand Rapids on a regular basis, just like AJ Hinch gets reports from Toledo and Erie and West Michigan and Lakeland and things of that nature. Okay. You've got a team of Brenzig, Nagard, JT Comfer, Kopp, DeBrincat, Finney, Kane, Casper, Mazer, Perron, Raymond, Van Riemsdyk. Give me the lines.
Like on a nightly basis, or how I would like it to be?
No, give me the lines from last night that you would have done differently than Todd McClellan. You're not.
No, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that.
And it's the same thing with the defensive pairings. So you can plead all you want with players. The players have to go out and perform.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
So I would say, Steve Eiserman not putting the proper roster together. And again, we've already gone over that they had 92 points and would have been in the playoffs if they played in the Pacific Division. In the Western Conference, we knew the West was weaker than the East coming into the season. We told you that the Atlantic Division is the hardest division in hockey. I would argue in sports. I think it's the hardest division in sports. But you knew that going all along, and you were leading it. So I want to know why Patrick Kane's -3. I want to know why everybody out there is playing like they couldn't wait to get back on the bus. If you have to inspire, look, coaches give the rah-rah speech. We get the Newton Rockney stuff, right? But at some point, those words ring hollow. There's only so much you can do with rah-rah speeches. Every coach at a timeout in the NBA when their team is trailing is giving them instruction and a rah-rah speech. Every coach in the NCAA tournament is doing the same thing. You don't think Rick Pitino was giving his team a rah-rah speech? You damn right they were, but it didn't fix the problem. The players have to perform. So I think most of the finger pointing is at Eiserman, then it's at the players, and then it's McClellan. If you want to move on from McClellan, go ahead. Who's the coach you want? These people with Gerard Gallant. Look, there's a reason he's been hired and fired, and a reason he's not coaching. I mean, come on. Players got to assume and shoulder the responsibility, for crying out loud. Let's see. Shep, our guy from years ago, hit a big 3 last night, Andre Drummond. He actually had 2. Philadelphia won. That's what we were getting to. Sixers beat the Magic 109-97. Tyrese Maxey had 31. Philly's going to play Boston in the first round of the playoffs. Charlotte visits Orlando tomorrow. The winner gets the Pistons in the first round. Golden State came back, beat the Clippers 126-121. Steph Curry had 35. They play Phoenix. How did you do in your picks? Because I thought the Clippers would win. I was wrong. I thought Philly would win. I was right. I thought Phoenix would win. I was wrong.
I was wrong on Phoenix. Yep. I'm trying to remember who I picked last night, honestly.
And I picked Charlotte. And Charlotte barely.
I did pick Charlotte.
So I won the 2 Eastern Conference. I lost the 2 Western Conference. JB Bickerstaff has been named the winner of the Rudy Tomjanovich Award from the Professional Basketball Writers Association. It honors the coach who cooperates the most with the media, fans, in addition to the excellence on the floor. We'll get to the poll question, and we'll talk more about that little nugget when we come back here on X's and Bros. Don't forget, Eric Hosmer joins us 8:35 here on the program.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org. What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Again, it's one of those things that that's the best part about it. That's the best part about it. Our guys don't live and die by other people's expectations and comments. Our guys show up and live and die by playing Pistons basketball, and that makes it easy, right? Like, if you don't have to worry about what everybody else says about you, you can just go out and do a job and do it purely. And our guys have done that all year long.
That's JB Bickerstaff. Good stuff, man, on a guy who has been so good all year long and received the Rudy Tomjanovich Award yesterday, as we mentioned. Somebody asked me yesterday, are you going to be mad if he doesn't win Coach of the Year? The answer is yes. I mean, you keep yourself under control. You shake your head a little bit. You wonder about the system, right? For sure. He's a guy who, what I like most about his team, I know it's easy to get caught up in Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, and the 60 wins and the number one defensive efficiency rate and a lot of other things, because there's a lot to like about what they did this year, right? The home wins, all, the fact that they were clearly better than anybody else in the East during the regular season doesn't mean you advance to the Eastern Conference Finals automatically. Ask Cleveland a year ago, 64 wins, didn't get there, right? Okay. What I like most is how many of the younger players, or players in general, became a factor and got better. Andy, you're a sports fan, first and foremost. The people we talk to on a daily basis are sports fans. Be honest with yourself, all right, when I ask you these questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Had you ever heard of Javonte Green before this year?
No, had not.
Okay. All right. Well, as a 32-year-old, you could understand why you had never heard of Javonte Green, who was with Boston and Chicago and New Orleans and Cleveland a year ago. And yet he led the league in games played with 82. A guy who, fine, averaged 7 points a game. So what? At one point in his career, did average 12. My point is, most people had never heard of Javonte Green, including, it's not like Andy's always the litmus test, but he's a guy who is really follows the game for this show, and because he loves it and ends up talking with his buddies about it on a regular basis. Had you ever heard of Dennis Jenkins before?
No, can't. Right. Definitely not that one.
Exactly.
I feel like Javonte Green probably at one point or another, but I'm not going to act like I knew everything about him. You know what I mean?
And like last year, Dennis Jenkins played 7 games for the Pistons. So maybe, just maybe, you had heard of him. And then when you start to ask people a little bit more, you ever heard of the University of Pacific? No, because that's where he played. Okay. Also played at Odessa College in St. John's and Ionia. How about Paul Reed? Have you ever heard of Paul Reed before this year?
I had heard of Paul Reed before this season, sure.
You had heard of Paul Reed. I get it. And I'm sure other people may have as well, because he played in Detroit a year ago with 45 games. Philadelphia before that. You'd recognize Paul Reed from last year and his 4 points a game and his 3 rebounds a game. But really? I mean, did you think he was going to be a factor in this year's team? Probably not.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, he might have showed a little bit in the playoffs. Like, I think he had a game where he actually did pretty good, but it definitely wasn't anything you would think he's, towards the minutes he's playing right now or how he's playing right now.
Exactly. So you look at this team, I believe, and you see how much better certain players have become. Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, yes, Cade Cunningham. And then you see the players who most have never heard of, and you see how much contributions they made. And you see how this team has won without key players in the lineup. It didn't matter. There were no excuses. They didn't make excuses like everybody else did. We may have tried to make an excuse here or there for them, but they didn't. That's why he's got to win Coach of the Year. We can look at the incremental improvement of 14 to 44 to 60, really impressive. And the number 1 overall seed in the East, but all those other things on top of setting goals and achieving them. How many teams could have easily just shifted up a little bit and said, I'm going to cruise, put it in neutral. We're going to cruise. We know we've got the East. And let's rest some guys. Now, maybe they did do that by limiting minutes down the stretch. They still tore after it, though, didn't they?
Yeah, their players were still playing every game when they were in the game. And I think that's kind of what you're saying right now about these players getting better. I think that's definitely been proven, because it's the same reason that people are holding against the Pistons right now for why they're not like a favorite to win it all, is that some of these names aren't the names that everybody wants to talk about. But yet he's got these guys that you've never heard of, before this season playing for them at this kind of level, which I think says a lot about the coach that he is.
You think people nationally, because I don't think there's many people locally, don't buy into the Pistons because of the names that they don't recognize?
I think that a lot of people nationally, yes, probably don't, because I think that's the reason why there's still so many teams like Cleveland and Boston, where you're hearing those two names taking the Pistons out later in the playoffs. I have to imagine that's part of the reason why.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. I think a lot of it has to do with some of those teams having one playoff series and the Pistons not. I always ask myself this. Are we double talking sometimes when it comes to this type of scenario and our belief in the Pistons? Bear with me. Earlier this year, when a lot of us were pumping this team's tires, many within the Pistons fan base even told us, yeah, but they haven't done it when it matters. In other words, they haven't won the playoff series. I said, we think everything is linear, that you have to lose a playoff series in order for you to get back. And I strongly disagreed with that. We had the general manager of the organization tell us we haven't even won a home playoff game yet. So maybe that has planted the seed for some Pistons fans. Now, fast forward to the spring and getting ready for the postseason. And if anybody says that now, those same fans who were preaching to us that this team had to prove to them something are saying what? How can you doubt them when they've won 60 games? How can you doubt them when they have a coach of the year candidate, an MVP candidate, a most improved player candidate, a sixth man of the year candidate, and one of the best post defenders, low post defenders in basketball? All the things that we were saying earlier this year, and people were telling us, but they have to prove it. Those same people are now telling us you're ridiculous for asking the team to prove it. Which tells you what? That this team did prove some things to others during the regular season. Look, I don't know how far they're going to last. I think it would be a tough matchup with Boston. Not because Boston's been there before, Detroit hasn't won a playoff series, but because Boston's got some really good players on their team. And now that they're healthy, that's a bit of an issue. And they do some things that the Pistons don't do exceptionally well, right? Shoot the three. Detroit doesn't defend the three all that much. Those types of things. I'm just glad that, J.B. Bickerstaff is the coach of this team because I can tell, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I told you so. But when they hired him, I said, this is the perfect hire for this reason. He makes players better. As a coach, he makes players better. And he has done that with this team. There's no doubt about it. Let me see here. Shop sports is a funny business. 2 years ago, Gores and Chris Illich were hated and wanted to sell. Holmes and Yzerman were loved. It has flip-flopped, and no one would have guessed that or even bet on it if you could have bet on such a thing. The ones who blame Illich for the Red Wings are the ones who kissed the streets when he fired Ken and hired Stevie. How is that Chris's fault? Only positive of the Red Wings, Ken Holland gets his respect back again. Well, here's the thing. It's not like it wasn't time for Ken Holland to go. It was. And I like Ken Holland and had a good relationship while he was here. It was time for him to move on. There comes a point in time in just about every general manager and every coach's career where there's a lifespan and it's time to move on. If we can say that about Bill Belichick and the Patriots, we should be able to say that about just about any coach that is out there. Phil Jackson and the Bulls, he and Jerry Reinsdorf, it came to a head, it was done. Phil Jackson and the Lakers, he had a relationship with the owner's daughter, for crying out loud, and he stayed on as head coach, and it was time. Pat Riley and the Lakers, it was time. Chuck Daly and the Pistons, it was time. So I get it. With Steve Yzerman, you could understand why the Illiches wanted to move on from Ken Holland and bring in Steve Yzerman. The question now is, as an owner, this is what you have to be alert to. When do I shift? When do I move on from the current management? I was going to say coach, but oftentimes the owner doesn't hire the coach. It's the general manager who hires the coach with the owner's blessing. Shep, wasn't JB warned by the NBA last year and beginning of this year to stop going after referees? I don't know the answer to that. I don't. Is there an NBA coach who doesn't go after referees? I mean, it may not be as much as JB Bickerstaff. I don't know, but I don't recall that. And if he was warned last year, then why would he be doing it again this year if it was so effective as a warning? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think that matters much. Perhaps their internal instincts take over and they hold it against him in the playoffs. I doubt that. I hope not. I don't think that's right at all. Eric Hosmer is going to join us 8:35. We'll talk Tigers, Royals, and Major League Baseball in general and get his thoughts on where his team is at and where this team is at. Eric Hosmer, a well-decorated Major League Baseball player who won a Silver Slugger, was a four-time Gold Glover, was an All-Star. He only played in one All-Star game as the MVP, and now he's an analyst for the Kansas City Royals, so he's going to join us at 8:35, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think what the Tigers did, and we'll get his thoughts. Here's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. It leads us to this. Which position player? That's the key, okay? Because I know if I put Tarek Skubal in this, everybody would be voting Tarek Skubal. Which position player should be the next Tiger to sign long-term? Should it be Green, Clark, Dingler, or other? Now, we have to we only get four choices. Green is fair because he's a two-time All-Star and a Silver Slugger, and I think should have won a Gold Glove. Clark is fair because he continues to rake in Toledo, and people view him as the next big thing, the second coming to Kevin McGonigal. And Dingler, because he was a Gold Glove catcher a year ago and seems to be one of the leaders of this team. You might think long-term with a Bryce Rayner, a Jose Briseño, a Spencer Torkelson, a Kerry Carpenter, somebody of that ilk. Remember, Cole Keith is already there. I suppose other may cover for some people, unless they read it carefully, the pitching staff. There's nobody on this pitching staff outside of Tarek Skubal that you would want to extend. You don't do that with relievers, really. Relievers are, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen. That's not fair. But you can add to your stable in that regard. You can also take guys who are in the minors who were starters and make them bullpen guys and make them effective bullpen guys. So with Framber Valdez already in the fold, you know that Jackson Jobe is coming back, but you wouldn't extend him, not after Tommy John surgery, and Reese Olson, you wouldn't do the same considering his number of injuries. It's the only pitcher would be Tarek Skubal. That's not part of the question because everybody would say yes to that. That's the easy answer. I'm wondering about the more challenging choices. So we narrowed it down to just position players. Speaking of, and you can vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. I'll retweet it out at Shep Matt. Speaking of those pitchers, last night added to this impressive run, Tigers starters have gone at least 5 2/3 innings, allowing 1 run or fewer in 6 straight starts. It's the longest the franchise has had since 2006. They've allowed a total of 5 runs over 5 games. And they got a chance to go 6-0 on the homestand today, this afternoon. On the season, Tigers starting pitching has a 3.35 ERA and is 4th amongst American League teams. That's pretty damn good. That's really good. Meanwhile, we talked about McGonigal and the contract extension, which I think is a brilliant move on the Tigers. I know it's only 17 games. I know it's only, 64, 65 at-bats, 74 or so plate appearances. But sometimes you just know. Sometimes you recognize things. How different is this than the Lions doing something with Jameson Williams earlier than people might have thought? Doing something with Kirby Joseph earlier than people might have thought? Doing something early with Amon-Ra St. Brown before many people would have thought. McGonigal has posted a team best 1.1 baseball reference WAR, wins above replacement, so far this year. One of 10 Major League Baseball position players at that mark or higher. A 1.1 baseball reference WAR. It's an important statistic. Wins above replacement is a big deal. Now, is it too early to tell? Yeah, because Jordan Walker's a 1.6. Andy Pius is a 1.6. Nico Horner's a 1.5. Wilyer Abreu is a 1.4. It might be a little too early but he's in rarefied air right now, and that's pretty damn good. So you like the way it started for this kid. He's been super impressive. He's been on base in every game but one that he's played in. Do you know how hard that is to do as a 21-year-old and in his first season? It's incredibly difficult. And I don't want to say he's made it look easy. I just love his attitude and the way he plays. It's Pete Rose-esque. It's Kirk Gibson-esque, don't you think? We'll put this in perspective. We'll also look at the fact that the Lions are linked to an injured player and how you feel about that. Because let's face it, that has been one of the knocks on Brad Holmes. Besides the last 2 drafts, and I don't think it's fair to judge last year's draft class at all, but the last 2 drafts, people have held that against him and lost some confidence in him. But also the fact that he has signed injured players who don't seem to be getting better. Case in point, Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal, good example of drafting a kid out of Kentucky who was injured quite a bit, but you'd used a third-round pick on him. We'll get to that name here on X's and Bros. On a Tullymore Thursday, we're brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth, MitchLyonsWealth.com on the Michigan Sports Network.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Saturday night, May 23rd. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort welcomes multi-platinum legends, Kansas. Tickets start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Don't miss the best of classic rock. Kansas returns to Soaring Eagle Saturday, May 23rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Motown Legends, TNT, together again. Temptation. Four Tops, Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Tickets start at $55 and on sale now at the box office at etix.com. Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Temps and Tops, together again.
Second hour of the program, but that first one went by super fast. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Monday through Friday, 6 until 9 throughout the great state of Michigan, and streaming live with you on YouTube and X and Facebook as well. Always welcome the texts at Sports Radio 21,000, or you can call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. If you didn't know, Tigers a 2-1 winner again last night. Wencio Perez with his first homer of the season to lead off the eighth, which is fantastic. Kevin McGonigal signs a contract extension, 8 years, $150 million. Winners on the NBA hardwood: Golden State over the Clippers, Philly over the Magic. The NHL season for the Red Wings is finally over. 8-1, they get blown out by Florida and get embarrassed by it. And we've got our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question up there. Who's the next Tigers position player you think should be extended? Riley Green, Dylan Dingler, Max Clark, or other? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. The results come your way at the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. Via text, Shep, would you be in favor of Yzerman pushed to the front office, as in president, and Jim Nill or Pat Verbeek brought back as GM? Well, the answer to that would be an emphatic yes. Now, here's the thing I ask, without being trying to be a jackass here. Okay, Jim Nill was hired as general manager in Dallas in 2013. He's had unprecedented success. Why would he come to Detroit? Is this a place? He won the General Manager of the Year award just a couple of years ago in Dallas. And he won it last year. In fact, he's been named General Manager of the Year 3 straight years. What makes us think Dallas is going to get rid of him? And what makes us think he wants to come back here? Because he played 3 years in Detroit? Big deal. Because it's an original 16? Do you think that has any bearing whatsoever on things? I'm just wondering. He's not from here. He's from Hanna, Alberta, Canada. He played 3 years here. He played longer in other stops. He played longer, or as long, in Vancouver. He played longer in Winnipeg. Should he go to Winnipeg because he enjoyed success there? What makes us think, I'm just asking, that he wants to come back to Detroit and take over this mess when he has one of the best jobs in hockey? The challenge? Maybe the challenge was in Dallas. His team just won 112 games, man. Or 112 points, excuse me. 112 games would be unbelievable and is impossible. He just won 50 games. He finished second in Colorado. His 112 points, excuse me, were second most in the NHL. He's got it good. What makes us think that Jim Nill wants to come back here? I would love him to come back here, but I wouldn't expect it. I'll tell you that. Pat Verbeek, who learned a lot under Yzerman and now is, and was a color analyst for a little bit and was assistant general manager, but now is the general manager of the Anaheim Ducks. And he's been with the Ducks for what? So I think it was 2022 or 2023. This is fourth year for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks for Pat Verbeek. And a team that is in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to go very far. Maybe he wants to come back here because why? He spent 2 years with the Wings. I don't know, man. I'm with you to a certain extent. I would love for this to be a desirable job. It's probably a very desirable job for an assistant general manager, somebody who's trying to get back into it, But if you're asking me, do I think you're going to be able to pry away the best general manager in the sport? I would say no. I can't imagine. Would I make the call? Absolutely. I'd make the call. I just don't know why Jim Miller would leave Dallas. Pat Verbeek might be something a little different. I don't know. Red Wings finished with more points than Anaheim. I don't know Anaheim's depth in their organization. I don't know how good the situation is there. Right. So it's hard for me to do that. I just don't see how that's a possibility. All right. We talked about Kevin McGonigal and the signing of the extension. I think it's a brilliant move by Scott Harris and the Tigers. Kudos to them. All right. It really is. It's exactly what this team should be doing, I think, with some of their young players. Now, you don't do it all the time because you have to be there. There's got to be a certain amount of belief with a certain player, right? And as I've said before, and I've done it in this week's edition, today's edition of In the Den, other teams have done this. Okay, Julio Rodriguez with the Mariners, probably more established and a much bigger contract. His was over $200 million. Connor Griffin is the best example. Just last week with the Pirates, he's considered the number one prospect in all of baseball. McGonigal too, and yet it was Griffin who signed a 9-year, $140 million deal, and McGonigal gets 8 for $150. So that, we said this at the time, that's the floor. When you redo this with McGonigal, that's the floor. His agency goes in and says to Scott Harris and Chris Ilitch and everybody and says, listen, Connor Griffin, the number one prospect in baseball, he's at 9-140. Our guy's better. He made the team out of spring. Griffin didn't. He's having a hell of a year so far. Griffin isn't. Although I think Connor Griffin's going to be really good. He's going to be an incredible shortstop. McGonigal, I still think people are trying to figure out, is he a shortstop or a third baseman? Whatever. Either way, he's a ball player. So that was the floor. Roman Anthony, who represented the United States in the World Baseball Classic, plays for Boston, is off to a really bad start. He signed an 8-year, $130 million. Corbin Carroll, who, if not hurt, would have been part of Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. He signed 8 years, $111 million after just 38 days in the majors. It started a long time ago with Ronald Acuna. He spent 1 year in the majors, and he signed a $100 million deal. 8 years, $100 million deal. It turned out to be a hell of a deal by the Braves, didn't it? Colt Emerson is another guy. He's a shortstop for the Mariners. 8 years, $95 million. Hasn't played at all in the major leagues when he signed the deal. Christian Campbell, Cooper Pratt, Luis Robert, all these guys. We go on and on and on. The Cole Keith deal right now, think about this, looks like an absolute steal. Remember when Cole Keith signed that contract? Wasn't in the majors. It was 6 years, $29 million, I think. Anybody worried about that now? Dude is absolutely raking, and you're getting him on that contract. I said at the time, if he performs the way people think he can, and I think he's going to be a really good hitter, and he's turned out to be, at least so far this season, a very good hitter, he's going to be asking to renegotiate, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now. So it's not unique. It's just smart. So hats off to the Tigers for doing that. Doesn't mean you do it with everybody. I get it. They have recognized the talent in Cole Keith and now in Kevin McGonigal, and they will do it with Max Clark. He's going to be up in the big leagues, and he's going to play every day in center field. Somebody yesterday suggested bring him up and make him a first baseman. No, you don't. You bring him up and you make him your center fielder of the future for a long, long time. You know, my only concern, it's not a big concern, but all these guys are left-handed hitters. Clark's a lefty. McGonigal's a lefty. Bryce Rayner's a lefty. Cole Keith's a lefty. It's not a terrible problem to have. If you can hit lefties, it doesn't matter. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and complain. You think people were complaining about Tony Gwynn being a left-handed hitter? No. But you are left-handed heavy, especially with Riley Green. You need some balance in your lineup. Anyway, great move by the Tigers. Just wanted to put that in perspective for you. here on X's and Bros. All right, Lions are linked to another injured player. We'll get to that on the other side. We're brought to you this hour by Meijer. Stay with us.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Motown Legends, TNT, together again. Temptation. Boy, Tops, Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Tickets start at $55 and on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Temps and Tops together again.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
mom, dad, I dreamed about this growing up. We talked about it growing up, so I'm happy you're here sharing the moment with me. And just all the time you spent, all the money you spent to get me to this point. It means a lot. Love you guys. Happy you're here with me and sharing this moment with me.
It's a really neat moment from the press conference yesterday. The appreciation for his mother and father. That's Kevin McGonigal, who signed a deal that is the most guaranteed money for a player with fewer than 100 days of Major League Baseball service in the history of the sport. So good for him. The previous record was last week by shortstop Connor Griffin with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Really good move on the part of the Tigers. Give them a ton of credit for having that foresight. Now
you were talking about this last week, Shep. Is this kind of what you were thinking, like this long of a deal when you were talking about it? Or
yeah, and we said that we're not. This is not armchair quarterbacking. We said Connor Griffin's was going to be the floor at 9,140, and that McGonigal was going to get at least that 8,150. Really smart on his part. Look, everybody thinks this is strictly for the teams, and considering you get a guy locked up the way that you do, and you're able to position your team the way you did, considering his history of production. Okay. It's a massive mega deal for a top young player, but he still gets a chance to kick the can, doesn't he?
Right.
Think about it. He's only 21 years old. He's going to be still in his prime of his career when he is eligible to be a free agent and will have a chance at a massive payday. For the Tigers, they get a guy who, at every level, if you look at all the times he's been in the minor leagues, low A, high A, double A, because never played in triple A, and now if you take a look at what he's done in the majors, the walk to strikeout ratio is 134 to 92. That's an incredible ratio that not many, if any, I would have to look this up, not many, if any, players do that any longer.
No, I think they knew what they had. I mean, Scott Harris has shown that he likes to get the people up that he's drafted to play in this organization, and it's pretty clear. I mean, you heard some of the answers that he had yesterday in that press conference. Like he believes that this is the guy, and he's liked everything he's seen to the point where he's gotten here. I don't understand if you were the Tigers why you wouldn't take your shot, especially when they've kind of had the trend of building from within. And Max Clark, a part of our poll question of who you want to sign next, I guess that kind of begs the question of like where he would fit into this too.
Without question. And Max Clark's going to get it. If you are, and you saw a lot of his teammates in attendance. Tarek Skubal says, are you taking everybody out to dinner? Yes, I am. Yeah, that's funny considering Skubal makes $32 million this year, but whatever. How do you feel if you're Riley Green?
I mean,
no, this is a dead serious question.
Mm-hmm.
If you, not that you wouldn't be happy for your teammate, you would. Okay, you applaud him. You say, good for you. I'm happy for you. That's the way you're supposed to be. That's a good teammate. He would never say this publicly, but don't tell me that he hasn't talked to his agent, or at least in the back of his mind, he's going, wait a minute. I've made 2 all-star teams. I've won a Silver Slugger. I hit 36 homers last year. I drove in 111 runs. Sure, he had a bad second half of the season. I have a pretty damn good resume. How am I not getting some type of extension?
I think he's absolutely wondering that. No, he's not. Okay. I mean, yeah, he's not, I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to be unhappy for McGonigal by any means. But yeah, I do think
he is.
It's fair for him to wonder, though. I mean, 100%.
Wouldn't you wonder?
Yeah, absolutely. If that was me, bad second half or not, he still put up the numbers he put up, and I would definitely be thinking about it if I was in his shoes.
Absolutely. I don't know how anybody could not. I think that would be human nature. Again, it's not jealousy. It's just wondering a little bit, am I a long-term solution for this organization? Or is it because Scott Harris didn't draft me that I am not being considered that? And maybe he is considered it. I mean, he signed through this year. because he's going to make $5 million. But he is a first-round pick. Just because Al Avila took him 5th overall, I believe, in 2019, 5th overall, yeah, then why shouldn't he have that opportunity? Again, 6 years of service. This is, let's see, he started in 2022, 23, 24, 25, 26. So he's got another year. Yeah. So he's got another year of salary arbitration. So he can go to arbitration next year and do that. So maybe it's not necessary. Obviously, it wasn't necessary for McGonigal. They've made a pretty quick decision, and the right one, I would argue, on Kevin McGonigal. What about Riley Green? And I know people stress the 201 strikeouts a year ago. Nobody said anything about that the 2 year prior when he only struck out 114 times. I say only, I know. But still, that was only in 100 games too, or 99 games, whatever it is. Still a strikeout a game. Seems to be accepted in Major League Baseball a lot easier now. But the convenient thing is that, this is a guy 201 strikeouts, but you conveniently forget the 36 bombs. And you conveniently forget the 111 RBIs. He's got 60 homers in the last 2 years. Would you take that?
I think in the last 2 years, if they don't have him in the lineup, it's a major difference at this point.
Without question.
And I think that's why, you're mentioning him going to the 6th year and everything else. Like with a lot of these guys, I mean, this team has kind of been built together. A lot of these guys have come up and played together, and it's going to be a lot of tough conversations. It feels like coming in the future with a lot of these guys if they decide not to keep some of them. And I guess that's where we'll really find out how much Scott Harris does like his guys that he drafted, maybe compared to some of the guys that were here when he took over,
But yeah, but good general managers, and I've said this before, good general managers in any sport can still recognize the players who they inherited. He didn't bring in AJ Hinch, but he kept AJ Hinch. He didn't bring in Chris Fetter, but he's kept Chris Fetter as coaches, is what I'm saying. Manager.
No, absolutely. I agree with that.
So good general managers also recognize, you know what? This guy's a good player. This is a good coach. This is a good manager, whatever. And I'm going to keep him here. I mean, Steve Eisman comes into the Red Wings. He doesn't get rid of Dylan Larkin right away, for crying out loud. So I don't think you always have to change. I think the best leaders are recognizing who's going to help them win. So let's see how he feels about that with Riley Green. But I'm just wondering if you think Riley Green is a guy who would be part of that solution. And I would guess that they would view him as a really important piece. On top of the offensive things that we just brought up regarding Riley Green, the defense is top-notch too. He won. There is a Sports Solutions, and they give out the Fielding Bible every year, and it's not the same as Baseball America. It's not the same as a lot of other things, but a lot of people swear by it, and it's in a lot of people's resume too. The Fielding Bible, based on how good a player is at his position, and there's only one per position. And Riley Green 2 years ago, even though Stephen Kwan in Cleveland won the Gold Glove, Riley Green had the Fielding Bible. And it tells you how good of a left fielder he truly is. I mean, we've said this time and time again about him. Do I like him? You bet. Am I jaded? No. I can complain about the 201 strikeouts as much as I want. It led the American League a year ago. But I can also weigh that with the positives that he brings too. He wasn't good enough after the All-Star break. A lot of players on this team weren't good enough after the All-Star break, but he wasn't. But I can still recognize how good he is as a fielder and how important he's been for this Tigers lineup. That's all I'm saying. All right. I promise on the other side, we'll get to what we were talking about with the Lions. There's a really good cornerback who might be available. Would you take him despite the injury history? That's next on X's and Bros. Second hour on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Meyer.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
If you're the largest selling comedy recording artist in history,
you might be a redneck.
Jeff Foxworthy, Friday, June 12th, inside the Soaring Eagle Entertainment Hall.
Our parents can't text, and our children can't write.
Tickets start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office and online at etix.com. Laugh it up at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, Friday, June 12th with Jeff Foxworthy.
My father-in-law got his chest hair caught in his zipper.
SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
Okay, back with you here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan, 35 after the hour. Just a real quick question before we dive into this Lions situation. Stronger reports, as we mentioned briefly yesterday, stronger reports that the Live Golf Tour will be ending at the end of the year. That there's a loss of like $70 billion, something like that. Is that about right? Anyway, do you think it's been good for golf? Do you think the Live Tour has been good for golf?
I mean, probably not overall, I guess, but maybe, maybe it proved the PGA's point that no one's going to top them, but I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, I kind of think it has been good for golf, to be honest with you. Think about how maybe people appreciate the PGA a little bit more, but that wasn't the goal, right? It has more, I think, to do with the fact that, if you look at it, look at how much it's increased. The PGA Tour earnings have increased. When Rory McIlroy won the Masters this year, think about this for a minute. He won the Masters. He made $4.5 million. Hideki Matsuyama won it in 2021. He made $2.1 million. So the Live has only been around, what is this, 4 years, Andy? I think it's 4 years.
Yep, that'd be correct.
Okay, so they've been around for 4 years, and they got big names. They got Brooks Koepka. They got Bryson DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, John Rahm, Patrick Reed, Cam Smith. They got a lot of those guys. I don't know what's going to happen with those guys now, by the way. It'll be interesting to see if they come back. But it did, and it never took off. The concerts never took off. The 3 rounds never took off. People just didn't watch. But it did help the PGA. I truly believe it helped the PGA.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure there's also a part of golf fans, though, Andy, who said, you know what? You've lost me in general.
Oh, for sure. I mean, my dad was one of those people at first, for sure. He just couldn't stand it when that whole thing happened. Didn't want to watch because of it. So
it doesn't even get, unless it's a miraculous shot, it doesn't even get highlights on the major sports networks, unless it's Fox, because Fox carries it. In the United Kingdom, I read this in The Athletic. In the United Kingdom alone in 2024, the Live tournament lost $590 million.
That's a pretty big number.
How do you make that up?
It's crazy to think about. It's
that is absolute insanity.
Yeah, I'll be interested to hear what some of these players have to say that you were mentioning too, that we don't know what's going to happen to them, like what they have to say about all this. With the
where does Dustin Johnson go? Those guys, they have to go back to the PGA Tour and say, "Am I welcomed back?"
I mean, what else are they going to do with the lifestyle that they live? I don't understand where else you would go.
You have to do it, and then here's the ripple effect. How are players responding when those guys do come back, if they're allowed to come back? And will the PGA ever dumb down the earnings and take it back the way it once was? They can't. I don't think they can do that. I really don't. But it may stifle it. No longer will it continue to rise. Maybe it'll just level out at some point. We think every sport's going to do that, and it's not true. Any sport with a salary cap, do those salary caps go up, Andy?
Oh, yeah.
Without question. Without question. Anyway, there's no question that we're all fired up for the NFL draft. You and I are, and anybody who's associated with it and their team looking forward to it, right? Who are the Lions going to take at 17? Well, there is a name that is being floated out there, and one of the names is Jermod McCoy. And Jermod McCoy is a cornerback out of the University of Tennessee. And he is a very, very talented player. The question is, how high will he go because of his injury history? What's been the biggest problem Lions fans have with Brad Holmes?
Taking risks on injured players.
Yeah. In some of the acquisitions that he's made, whether it be free agency or even drafts. I brought up Josh Pascal earlier in the show. I think it's a fair example. All right. So if that's the case, and we know that Detroit lacks a number one cornerback, you haven't been happy with Terrion Arnold, even though coming out of the draft, he was considered a very good player. You haven't been happy with DJ Reed, and I don't blame you for either one of those. Jermod McCoy missed all of last year with a torn ACL. The year before, he was an All-American, and he led Tennessee in pass breakups and in interceptions, I believe. 13 pass breakups and I believe 4 interceptions. Either way, passes defended, however you want to call it. Wipes out his junior year, did not play last year. So he doesn't have any tape from last year. He's got tape from 2 years ago. How much does that matter? We'll see. He's got speed. He's got agility. He's got a lot of things that you look for in a number one corner. If there are no concerns in his knee, most say he would be an NFL starter as a rookie at 6 feet, 190 pounds, 192 pounds. How would you feel if, and this is always a test for you and I. It was a test when Brad Holmes prematurely, according to some, signed Amon-Ra St. Brown to an extension, signed Kirby Joseph to an extension, all those guys. I don't have to go through every single name. And yet we think it's okay if the Tigers do that with Kevin McGonigal, who had more proven statistics and games under his professional belt when they were signed. Amon-Ra St. Brown or Kevin McGonigal? Kirby Joseph or Kevin McGonigal? And yet we side with one guy and not the other. Now, at the time, a lot of people didn't like it. Now I think people understand it. They're upset that Brad Holmes did it with Kirby Joseph because Kirby Joseph was hurt last year.
That's the same kind of risk though for anybody. I mean, that could happen to any player.
100%.
Anybody could get hurt. Kevin McGonigal missed almost the whole season in the minors, not last year, but the year before that. So
correct.
It can happen to anybody.
Yeah, exactly right. That's well said. It could happen to anybody. But as a fan, you and I, we don't want it to happen to our guy. You know you're rolling the dice when you do something like this. Guy could get hurt. Guy could go in a slump. Guy could lose it. Guy could mentally cash out. When the Tigers traded for Austin Meadows, I thought it was a fantastic deal. Didn't know that he had some mental issues and just didn't want to play. That hurt. It hurt a lot. You lose Isaac Paredes, and you get an all-star left fielder who's going to hit 25 to 30 bombs and drive in 100 runs for you, and it doesn't end up working out. Certain guys had good years in college, but they got hurt. That didn't work out. How would you feel if they took a Jermod McCoy, a gifted athlete, size, quick, really good drive on the ball, very productive, and by all accounts, considered probably not the number one corner, but no worse than the number two corner. Mansour Delaney is the number one corner out of LSU. So I wonder about that a little bit. Is it a need? Absolutely. Is it a bigger need than tackle or edge? No. If you look at most mock drafts, there's plenty of them out there, right? If you look at most mock drafts, they have Detroit taking either a tackle or an edge. I haven't really seen anybody. I've seen maybe one with Oliva Oyonye from Penn State. This could be the recipe you might be looking for, though. And that is that this team is dead set. I shouldn't say dead set. This team is in good shape offensively. Is that fair? Do you think this offense is better? I was talking with my son about this last night. Is the offense better than it was a year ago right now?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm big on the offensive line. So for me, no, because I think that's how it doesn't matter if they had Dave Montgomery back or not. If they didn't fix the offensive line, I feel like that would still be the problem going into this season. So I still need to see more there.
Understood. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. I do. Now, I would remind you, you said you're big into the offensive line, and the weakest part of the offensive line is what, or was what? Center. Have they upgraded in that regard?
Not for me yet, to the point where it would be. I mean,
Mays is much better than Graham Glasgow.
Sure,
They've
but
upgraded. Okay.
I think it's hard to replace Frank Ragnow or know if you're going to be close to that.
But he wasn't there last year. That's not what we're
yeah.
referring to.
Sure.
So the answer is yes. Do you think Tate Ratledge will be better his second year than his first year?
I think that kind of goes back to what we talked about the other day with you hope, because he had a year of experience that he gets better and gains that. You would like to think that. Again, the guilt by association thing, it's kind of tough to really know what you had with him, I feel like, a little bit.
Fair enough. But he was pretty good last year. He wasn't great. He's not an all-pro.
No, before he was asked for,
he was a good player.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Penei Sewell. If Penei Sewell moved to the left side, would he be better than Taylor Decker?
Probably.
Or let's put it this way. If Larry Borum started at right tackle, would he be as effective as Taylor Decker was at left?
Maybe last year with the injury. I mean, yeah, that's
what I'm referring to. Right. You bring up David Montgomery, and remember, Sam Laporta is going to be healthy. So that's going to be better at your tight end. So you've improved at center. You've improved at tight end. If you're going to count on a second running back, I suppose Montgomery better than Pacheco, but it's not like Montgomery tore the house down last year. It's not a huge deal. I think they're better than they were a year ago on offense right now, and they're going to add to it. The question would be whether or not you add to it in the first round or not. If you drafted Monroe Freeling, he could play left tackle for you. If you drafted Caden Proctor or Blake Miller, they could play right tackle for you, and you would move Penei Sewell. Your offense is exponentially better.
Yeah, for me, that's what I'm kind of waiting on to see if I really feel like it's going to be that much better, is if they make that pick.
Some say Caleb Lomu, the kid out of Utah. There's two tackles out of Utah, Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu. Fano is considered the better tackle. Lomu could be your right tackle next year, but they also view him as a possible interior guy. If I'm going to draft a guy like that, I might as well just get the best guard.
Absolutely.
I don't want a tackle who's played tackle in at the collegiate ranks, and then you view him as a guard.
No, if he's coming in as your starter next year when you're trying to compete still, you want him to be playing the position he's supposed to be playing, I guess.
Exactly. Look, if I'm going to go for something like that, if I'm going to go for a guard, and you know how I feel about the guard position, all right? I think it's really important. But if Emmanuel Pregnon is there, he's the kid out of Oregon, and Caleb Lomu is there, and you view Lomu as a chance who can move inside, I'm just taking the guard. I'm just taking Emmanuel Pregnon because he checks a lot of NFL boxes. He's a really good fit in a lot of different schemes. But I digress with interior offensive linemen. My point is, I think your offense is already better. Your defense has a lot of weaknesses.
That's very true. I get that part of it too.
Would you say the defense has more weaknesses?
The defense 100% has more needs too.
Without question.
Yeah.
Can the offense with its weaknesses be fixed quicker? Yes. One guy, think about it. One guy probably fixes that as long as it's the right guy. If it's Monroe Freeling, you become a complete offensive line with a lot of things that we've already talked about. Sewell, Ratledge, Mays, man I don't know yet, Miles Frazier, Monroe Freeling. Okay? If it's Miller, then it's Miller, Ratledge, Mays, man I don't know yet, Miles Frazier, left tackle Penei Sewell. Either way, you've become better than you were a year ago. Pacheco will be healthy. Laporta will be healthy. You expect the same stuff out of your wide receivers, all those things. Great. And by the way, Pacheco, a good blocker too. So he's going to help you in that regard.
Yeah, I definitely liked that replacement for Mike.
Okay.
I didn't mind that.
So I don't know if you like Monroe Freeling, Caden Proctor, Blake Miller, whomever. Okay. It could be any of those guys. Then on the defense, what do you have? You need a defensive end. No question. There is no doubt you need an edge rusher. opposite Aiden Hutchinson. You'd like a guy who is used to playing a lot of snaps. Okay? You need a linebacker. You need a safety just in case. You need a corner. I know you've picked up a lot of players. They're not the players. There's a reason you signed them all to one-year contracts. You also need a backup tight end. When that happens, I don't know. If you traded Sam Laporta, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I don't want that because I think Sam Laporta is a hell of a player. We all remember his first season. He was a phenomenal player. Then you got to open the question, how quickly do you have to take the tight end? This is what I mean. When you talk about general managers, you have to look forward. Am I going to re-sign him? Am I going to extend him? Am I going to do with Sam Laporta what I did with Amon-Ra St. Brown? Am I going to do with Brian Branch what I did with Kirby Joseph? Am I doing with Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs what I did with Aiden Hutchinson and Penei Sewell? Am I going to do all that? If I am, then I've got a plan for it. If I'm not, then what can I get for the guy who's currently in that position? And then I have to fill that position with somebody who's more manageable from a financial standpoint. If I'm going to extend Gibbs and Campbell, and I'm not going to be able to do it with Laporta, trade Laporta and go draft the best tight end you can possibly get out there. Now, that would piss a lot of people off.
Definitely would.
I'm telling you, man. The people would be livid if the Lions literally said on draft day, yeah, we've traded Sam Laporta to Kansas City, picked up their 9th overall pick and a 4th rounder, and then draft Kenyon Sadiq. He's the best tight end in the draft out of Oregon, and an absolute freak athlete who's going to outmuscle defenders, outrun them. He's a hell of a player. People in Detroit would go livid. You still haven't addressed the biggest needs, tackle and edge rusher. And all you did was swap one tight end, highly productive, for another. What were you going to say?
No, that makes me wonder just about McCoy then. If like you're talking about all these needs and stuff and kind of we talked about the start of this, what do you think people would do if they did draft McCoy? What do you think the reaction would be?
I think they'd be pissed.
I couldn't agree more.
I think they'd be really pissed. Because not just the injury, but because they look at it as positions that they already have. We'll pick it up on the other side. Get to more of your text, Sports Radio 21,000. You can call us on the Meijer hotline, 866-838-4843. This is X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday brought to you by Meijer.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Motown Legends, TNT, together again. Temptation. 4 Tops, Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Tickets start at $55 and on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Temps and Tops, together again.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Final hour of the program. At the bottom of the hour, we will welcome in Eric Hosmer, the four-time Gold Glover, the Silver Slugger, the world champion for the Kansas City Royals, and now the color analyst on TV for those Kansas City Royals, here to X's and BrO's. Our Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. Our text line is Sports Radio 21,000. We are streaming live, of course, on YouTube, on X, and on Facebook as well. Via text, Shep, I would hate if they drafted yet another injured player. This is regarding the Lions. Just before the break, we were talking about Gerard McCoy, a guy who is missed all of last year, but who was considered one of the best corners in the NFL draft. And he's got all the intangibles, all the things that you look for in the number one corner. Now, Detroit hasn't had great success with this. I mean, all you got to do is look at the history of what they've gone through. But this is a guy who is considered a can't miss guy if he stays healthy. So Detroit has had that history of drafting some guys who have been nicked up and signing some guys who've been injured too. And Brad Holmes has heard it from the fan base. So the text says, I would hate it if they drafted another injured player, but in fairness, Penei Sewell sat his whole last year in college without tape. Yeah, but that was a COVID year. So I think it's a little different. Penei Sewell missed some time in college too with an injured ankle. I mean, you guys, most players, this is a sport you follow. It's a sport you know. Many of you played growing up. You know how violent the sport truly is. And for us to think that anyone's coming out of college without any injuries might be a little misleading, a little short-sighted. Now, missing a whole year with a torn ACL is different than, missing a couple of games with an ankle injury. All I would ask you is, I mean, if you want an edge rusher, and this team happened to draft Akeem Mesidor from Miami, because David Bailey's gone, Texas Tech. Ruben Bain for Miami is gone. Arvell Reese, we know, is going to go top 3 probably. Those are the top 4 edge rushers in all accounts, by most people's account. So if Mesidor was there and the Lions took him, would you be happy? Do you think most of your friends would be happy?
I would say so. Yeah. Okay. I mean, when you think about like your friends' stuff, people might not look into it as much as you and I. I feel like for the most part, if they hear edge rusher, they're going to end up being pretty happy about it.
Absolutely. He's a 3-down guy. He's a disruptive force. Uses his hands really well. Gets off the ball really well. He's 25 years old. Does that matter to you? Maybe not. Shortens the window, though. Compared to a guy who's 21, it's a significant shortage of the window.
Yeah, that's a big gap for sure.
Okay. He also has had surgery on his left foot and his right foot, and he's had a shoulder injury. People don't look at it. They're not going to look at it. You know why? He addresses a need.
Exactly.
I'm not disparaging this player, but because Blake Miller's a good player at Clemson. If you watch a lot of film and you watch it with people who really are football smart, and I've been fortunate to be able to do that, he doesn't bend real well. He's a little upright at times. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. He could be a right tackle. You don't start 54 games for a program like Clemson and play over 3,800 snaps for a program like Clemson if you're not a good player and have some success at setting program records. Will people be really happy with him? He's a proven commodity, and he's injury-free. By all reports, he's missed one practice his entire collegiate career. I would remind you that Miles Frazier was a proven commodity. He was a guy you could count on every single day when he played in college. And then he got hurt in training camp. And immediately people were like, oh, you got injured players. He wasn't drafted as an injured player. You drafted him and then he became injured. which has happened to a lot of teams with a lot of players. There's that belief that the Lions are always about injured players. And I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if that's always the case. Now, I would say this. Detroit will have to, there's going to be a run, not in succession, but in the first round, you could see 7 to 9 offensive linemen drafted. And that could be part of the reason that many of us feel that's the route you go. If you think it's inevitable that Penei Sewell move from right to left, I suppose it doesn't matter which guy you'll grab. And you've got some depth, even though Giovanni Manu is, it wasn't great before a knee injury. Colby Sorsdale, who's supposed to be a depth piece, but missed all of last year with a leg injury. Miles Frazier, who was a heavy down player in college, but missed most of last year with an injury. You want a starter, not depth guys. Okay? You could literally see, it depends on how you see Francis Mauigoa. He's the Miami tackle that many feel is better inside, might be better built for inside. So who could you see in the first round? In the first round of the draft, you could easily see Mauigoa is going to go early, for sure. Ionye from Penn State is going to go in the first round. There's 2. Fano is going to go. That's 3. Monroe Freeling's going to go. That's 4. In all likelihood, Caden Proctor is going to go. That's 5. You might see Chase Besantis. He's another guard. He's the guard out of Texas A&M. He might go. That's 6. I don't think Jake Slaughter's going. Who am I missing? Caden Proctor would be 7. And perhaps you could also see a Blake Miller or a Caleb Lomo or a Max Ionanachor or an Ionanachor, however you say his name, out of Arizona State. Let's say instead of the first round, the top, 35 players. It could be 8 offensive linemen. That means when you come around at 50, who are you going to get? And I know there's some people in this area who have fallen in love with certain people because of, their ability to go on the national networks and people are like, oh man, this guy's cool. I like his mullet or whatever the case may be. Jennings Dunker from Iowa, who I thought was a tackle, but they more people put him as a guard. So anyway, that's what you're looking at. Other teams, and this is, like I said, a big reason why you're going to have to take this into consideration. Other teams are going to be in the market for it. Okay? So with other teams being in the market for a lot of these players, you better make sure you're going to be in a position to get one of those impactful players. And I don't know how the draft is always going to go, and neither do you. But if you're looking for teams that are going to be in search of linemen, you're going to notice the Cardinals, you're going to notice the Browns. Not that they're going to take them at 6, but they may take them at 24. The Rams definitely. The Steelers, the Eagles, the Patriots, the Chargers, they all need linemen. Who am I missing? San Francisco, Trent Smith's gone. So those are guys that those are teams that you're going to have to contend with, whether they're ahead of you or not. Because if you choose a different route ahead at 17, by the time you get to 50, some of those teams, New England at 31, Cardinals at later on, the Eagles at 23, the Browns at 24, they're going to be eyeing a guy that you might have on your board too. Eric Hosmer at the bottom of the hour. When we come back, we'll get to the final results of yesterday's poll question and a whole lot more. This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network, brought to you this hour by Avello Airlines and AvelloAir.com.
In the den,
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings app today. Use the code HUGE for a special offer when you sign up. That's code HUGE only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
This is Matt Shepard. More baseball teams are signing fast-rising prospects who have little MLB playing time to long-term contracts, and the Tigers are in the middle of it. The A's did it with Nick Kurtz. Milwaukee took the chance with Jackson Chourio and Cooper Pratt. Seattle was confident to do with Colt Emerson, and Pittsburgh last week locked up their stud shortstop Connor Griffin. The Tigers, who did something with Colt Keith a few years ago, did it again Wednesday with Kevin McGonigal, inking the 21-year-old to an 8-year, $150 million deal. He's played just 17 games and had only 61 at-bats, but he looks like a grizzled veteran with his approach. He's reached base in every game but one, has more walks than strikeouts, and fields his position with impressive focus and fluidity. The kid is tough and determined and said he wants to stick in one spot and win a World Series. All the right things to say and all the right way to play. Kevin McGonigal.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
You know, we were talking earlier about the impressive Pistons push. Amari Sankofa tweeted this out not too long ago. He said, following their 4-game losing streak, the Pistons won 15 of their final 19 games with a net rating of 12.5. In other words, they won by an average of 12.5. They were without Cade Cunningham for 12 of those games. Isaiah Stewart for 13. They got to 60 wins all while withstanding their toughest injury stretch. Why do we feel like they have to prove it in the playoffs when they've proven it all season long to us? I know the playoffs are different. I get it. And I understand that. I'm not going to totally disagree with that. I do think it is different. But I think the way they play has been different than most. They have played a playoff tough type schedule. Somebody had a formula that has been predicting the champion in the NBA for how many years now? For the last 3 NBA titles. You ready? You have to have a top 10 points per game scorer or rebounder, okay? 28 of the last 30 champions have had a top 10 scorer or rebounder. If you believe that's important, then that cancels out Phoenix, Golden State, Orlando, Charlotte, and Toronto. Okay? So 5 teams eliminated based on that statistic alone. 29 of the last 30 have had what is considered a debatable top 10 player in the league. Top 10, not top 5, top 10. That eliminates Miami, Portland, and Atlanta. So suddenly there's 8 teams that are out of the mix for the playoffs. If you concur with this type of theory. And the numbers have proven that out. 11 of the last 12 champions have had a top 10 3-point shooting team. 11 of 12. That eliminates the Spurs, OKC, the Lakers, the Cavs, the Sixers, and the Pistons. 6 more teams. You're down to 14, dude. Okay? Another is that 38 of the last 40 champions have had a top 12 defensive rating. That eliminates Denver and the Clippers, who were eliminated last night anyway. There's 16. 23 of the last 25 NBA champions have had a top 5 team in field goal percentage. You know who that eliminates? That eliminates 3 more. Houston, Boston, and the Knicks. That's down to 1 team. The one team that takes all those into consideration, the Minnesota Timberwolves. If you believe in those types of philosophies, the Timberwolves would be the champions of the NBA. Andy, you and your buddies get together. You're drinking a cold one. You're hanging out. You're talking sports in general. And you say, give me your NBA champion. How many of them said the Minnesota Timberwolves?
I would not say any. Yeah, that's maybe a sleeper pick for somebody. Maybe if they watch Matt Shepard's show, they get all those stats right there and then take it into account. But yeah, I haven't heard that one yet.
Yep, I haven't either. Knowing all that, would you bet on Minnesota at all?
It's
to win the title?
It makes it more compelling when you hear all those things. I would be interested though, like how many champions in the past had just like one of those things that they didn't, finish in the top 10 in, I guess.
Right.
And that's, I still wouldn't go against the team I probably feel the strongest about to win it just from hearing that, but it definitely makes you feel better about them.
Who's the team you feel strongest about? You and your friends, when you talk about it, who's the team you feel strongest
It's
about?
Oklahoma City. I think anybody that even takes the Pistons to get there to make the finals, anybody that does make that pick, no one has them beating OKC. I don't think anybody has any team out of the East beating OKC.
I don't disagree with that. Would you take Denver over San Antonio or the other way around?
That to me is a toss up. I feel like a lot of people have been hopping on the Spurs train lately. I don't know, man. That's one I could go either way on, but I probably would still lean with Denver just from recency, recently still winning a championship.
I want you to do me a favor. Next time you hear somebody talking about San Antonio, and it's a fair point because San Antonio is really good. Okay, so I'm not ripping on the Spurs by any stretch. Beat Detroit handily in both games they played them. I'd like to know if they subscribe to they have to do something in the playoffs first, like they do with Detroit.
It's a really good point because I wonder the same thing. I feel like that is what it comes down to right now with Pistons fans that don't feel comfortable about it. I feel like
Correct. Yeah, and yet San Antonio hasn't done anything either. Victor Wembanyama has never played in a playoff game.
But
So
yeah,
that's the case.
Sure, he hasn't.
Right.
The Pistons have Cade, right? So if you have the same, if you have the confidence in the Spurs
but
to do that,
Cade played in playoff series last year.
absolutely, as the experience.
So the belief is that San Antonio is a true threat to win the NBA title. And I think it has to do with the fact that Victor Wembanyama is such they call him the alien, and I understand why, because he's such a good player. I think it's because of that more than anything else.
You and I have never seen anybody like him. I don't think that's for sure.
I can't recall. I really can't. I mean, I've never seen a guy who's 7'3", 7'4", can stretch the defense by shooting threes, block shots the way he does, and has such a vast offensive game. Look, I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of the better centers of all time for his offensive game. He's a good free throw shooter. His range was 16 feet, 17 feet. He had a shot that was the greatest shot of all time, the hook shot, from anywhere on the floor. Why big men don't incorporate that is beyond me, but whatever. He couldn't shoot threes. Victor Wembanyama is a three-point threat. You have to guard him as far away from the basket as you would a guard. He's amazing. Let's get to the final results of the poll question from yesterday. We have a poll question for you every single day. Today, it's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. What we asked you was, which position player should be the next Tiger to sign long-term? Green, Clark, Dingler, or other? We asked you yesterday, who has the best young core in the state? Is it the Lions? Is it the Pistons? Is it the Red Wings? Or is it the Tigers? I haven't seen the results. I'm going to guess people say the Lions. Let me predict.
Okay,
Lions,
I like that.
Lions, Pistons, Tigers, Wings.
You said you think the Lions are first?
Yes.
The Lions are third on that list, actually. They're 13% right now. The Pistons are leading the way at first, and the Tigers are second. The Wings, obviously, right now didn't get any votes there. But, yeah. So the Pistons right now, I think, with the best. That shows some people might believe in the players they have in this team, I guess.
It absolutely shows that. I'm stunned. The Pistons have two guys who are the best at what they do, or in the top five or so of what they do. The Lions have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dudes who are among the top 5 of what they do. And if you want to add Sam Laporta, he'd be top 10. So 7 guys. I'm surprised at that final results. But we appreciate folks voting as often as you have. When we come back, we're going to talk with Eric Hosmer. Excited for this as he previews Royals and Tigers and Major League Baseball and a whole lot more. Eric Hosmer, the 4-time Gold Glover, joins us on the other side, brought to you by Avello Airlines and AvelloAir.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See amperks.com for details.
Motown Legends, TNT, together again. Temptation. 4 Tops, Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Tickets start at $55 and on sale now at the box office at etix.com. Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Temps and Tops, together again.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact that Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
this is, just a bit of the beginning. Looking forward for these 9 years to go out and help this team win, like I said. And I'm just super excited for this, fan base and this city. I'm looking forward to, fall in love with this place even more, even though I already have, and it's only been 3 weeks, which is unbelievable, but just super pumped for sure.
Question for
Welcome back. 35 after the hour across the great state of Michigan is streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and X as well. Eric Hosmer knows what it's like to fall in love with a city like he did in Kansas City. He's the TV analyst for Kansas City Royals television. He's also the host of Digging Deep podcast, which is a really, really good podcast. Digging deep with a lot of other different baseball players. He's made a hell of a transition from baseball on the field to baseball in front of the camera, and he joins us here on X's and Bros. Eric, appreciate it very much, and congratulations from a couple of years ago for having a beautiful son with your wonderful wife. I hope all is well. The first 2 games, 2-1, 2-1, we'll get into in a minute. But Kevin McGonigal signs the long-term deal. Connor Griffin did the same in Pittsburgh. We've seen this as a trend. Why do you think this is beneficial to teams and maybe more specifically to players moving forward who are young but don't have a lot of experience under their belt?
Yeah, it's definitely a new trend. First of all, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me, and thank you for those kind words. It seems to be a new trend now in baseball. A lot of teams are identifying young talent that they have in their farm system, and they're identifying these young blue chip prospects, so to speak, and locking them down for a long time. And I think at the end of the day, these teams are realizing if these players end up being the players who we think they can truly be, it's going to save us a lot of money on the back end. And after watching Kevin McGonigal for 2 days now, it's a small sample size, but man, I'm a believer that kid can play.
Yeah. What is it you look for? I've always found this interesting. For people who've played at the highest level like you, 4 Gold Gloves, All-Star Game MVP, World Series Championship, Silver Slugger, what do you look at that tells you whether a guy has, quote unquote, it early on in a career?
When I look at from the position player standpoint, Kevin McGonigal, I watch his at-bats. I watch him in the field. He's playing premium positions, move him to short, third, the outfield, wherever you want. Left on left, he's putting in good at-bats. There's really no holes. You can't just go up there and throw a certain pitch or pound a certain zone, and he's an easy out. I mean, you're seeing he's having left on left at-bats off of some of the top lefties in the big leagues. And at 21 years old, to be coming up doing that, first time through facing these guys is super impressive without seeing the type of movement. You just don't see certain type of movement in the minor league that you do here in the major leagues. And the adjustments that McGonigal's making just really, really looks like he's that complete player on both sides of the field, even on the bases as well.
You played roughly 1,700 games in an outstanding major league 13-year career. How long does it take for you to recognize, maybe it's by at-bats, to recognize whether a guy has at least the chops to hang around at the highest level for as long as you did?
Oh, man. It's so different up here. I think at the beginning, the league initially challenges you and sees, hey, here's our status quo, so to speak, pitching-wise. Let's see how you can handle this. And then when the league realizes you can't handle this, they begin making the adjustments. And that's when, the data, you start having more at-bats. You start understanding, the league starts understanding if there's any flaws that they can really exploit you. And then that's where the true adjustments begin. And you really have to, stay disciplined in your approach. And sometimes as a hitter, you're almost facing the report, so to speak, because every team that game plans against you, they come in, and if there's any numbers that jump out, they're going to exploit that. So this league will, identify your weaknesses, and you have to continue to prove that you're willing to adjust. And that's why this game is continuing to get harder and harder and evolve.
The thing I love most about the Digging Deep podcast, and you can see it also, folks, on TV, of course, but check it out. It's not just about baseball. So I know you're well-rounded in sports and entertainment and things of that nature. But as we approach the NBA playoffs, many people feel like you have to have a minimum of 2, probably 3 stars on your team. In baseball, I've always felt like that doesn't always necessarily mean that you're going to win, because the guy on the mound is oftentimes the difference. What's the overall philosophy you have about what it takes to be a champion, knowing that you were a champion with the Royals in the World Series and a gold medal winner in the World Baseball Classic as well in 2017?
I think right now, when you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers and what they've done, back-to-back championships, obviously, but if you look at how they won the championships, the Yankees, they clearly outplayed them. The next year against Toronto, they got tested in every which way. I remember all the way leading up until the World Series, we saw a wheel play, that we saw them defend bunts, we saw them on the bases, win games. And then when they got to Toronto, Toronto really, really tested them. They were super athletic, and it felt like they tested the Dodgers in every which way. And I think as offense, as a team, you never want to be one-dimensional. You always want to be able to adjust. You always want to be able to flip the script, so to speak. For example, if you're facing a guy like Skubal and he's got his A-plus stuff, then you want to be able to flip the script, try and find ways to produce runs on the bases. So I think to be a champion like the Los Angeles Dodgers have been the last couple of years, you have to have adaptability, and you have to have the ability as a team to flip the script, whether that's offensively, defensively, or just as a game plan as a whole.
What I like most about what the Royals have been able to do is they've kept Salvador Perez, one of the best to ever play his position. They've signed Bobby Witt Jr. to a long-term deal. He's my favorite player in the league. Vinny Pasquantino's a really good player. They re-upped with Michael Garcia. They've got the foundation, and they've got some good pitching too. But do you feel like the Dodgers and the Yankees and the teams that are spending so much more money than some of these other teams that are trying to get there but have a ceiling? Every team has a ceiling, especially mid-major markets. Do you feel like it's good, bad? How do you handle that moving forward to make sure baseball remains competitive?
Man, I think the World Series last year really just proves that baseball is that sport that anybody on any given day can win. And it all starts, in my opinion, with pitching. Pitching is the key in this game, especially starting pitching. And the Royals certainly have that. And then you look at their position players, and Bobby Witt Jr., man, I'm with you. He's my favorite player in the league as well. Watching what he does on a day-to-day basis, how he handles it, the professionalism that he brings. He's a true leader, he really is. So, I think the Royals understand it all starts with pitching. We have our superstar. We have that versatility. We can win games in multiple ways. And I think that is the start. And I think the Los Angeles Dodgers, they have all the resources. And then on top of that, they're very smart as a team, as an organization. They acquire the right guys. They understand the importance of the locker room. You see how they keep Miguel Rojas, certain guys that they understand can get the players going. And they have created a system over there and a language, so to speak, on how they play the game of baseball. And it's really impressive to watch because not only do they have individual superstars and great players, but they're in sync as a team and play as a unit.
What do you appreciate about the Tigers? I know it's a small sample size, but so far, your opinion of the Tigers?
Their efficiency. AJ Hinch is a manager in this league that I think is super talented, and I really, really do admire and kind of study his in-game moves because he's heavily analytically driven. He's really, really smart, but at the same time, he has the experience and he's played and he can have the feel. I think game one is a great example. I think he always, when we think of the Tigers, especially late, it's kind of like the old Kentucky white and blue. He has two different teams, one against lefties, one against righties. The beginning of that ninth inning, he stuck with Zach McKinstry because Nick Mears for the Royals, it was a right-left matchup, and he had Cole Keith, Kerry Carpenter on the bench, decided to stay with McKinstry because I felt like AJ said this is his fourth at-bat versus bringing somebody off the bench cold. So analytically would have told you to go to one of the other lefties on the bench, but AJ has the feel, the experience to know, man, Zach McKinstry, this is at-bat number 4 versus coming off the bench cold. I'm going to stick with my guy, and it ended up being a leadoff double.
What do you like most about the game of baseball now, and what don't you like? What would you change?
Well, I tell you what, I love this new pitch clock. I mean, I think it just really does take away the unnecessary time, the downtime, and it speeds up our game. I think it makes it just more efficient as a whole. And I think, man, if there's not much I dislike about the game now. If I were to nitpick and say I dislike this, this, and this, I think certain teams, certain organizations have gotten away from winning baseball. I think the way that they view winning baseball is a little different. Again, I think you need versatility. I think you need contact, especially to win in October. And I think some of the teams, the way they build their organizations, their big league team is built not for October baseball. It's just built for 162 season, if that makes sense. And October baseball is different how you win games.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of that. The thing I didn't like about the pitch clock is there was always a rule in the book that gave pitchers 12 seconds if there was nobody on base, and was never enforced. That's my problem with it. You want to put the pitch clock out there, fine. Now you've forced umpires to implement a rule that was in there the entire time, and they never implemented it until the pitch clock actually came
I agree. I see what you say there. And the biggest reason I'm a fan of it is we get rid of that unnecessary hour and a half of guys getting out of the box, fixing gloves. But no, that's a good point. And I really never really knew that they had that rule until you just said that. So that's a great point.
Yeah, I think it's 501c. I forget exactly what it was, but I mean, yeah, they had it. It was 12 seconds, and then they made it 15 with the pitch clock. You are from Plantation, Florida, I believe. Are you? Does that make you a Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan? And how do you look at the NFL draft coming up?
Oh man, I'm a huge NFL fan. I'm actually a New York Giants fan. My dad was from New York. We grew up going to those games and really had no choice, honestly. But being from Miami down South Florida, I got to go Fernando Mendoza. I cannot wait to see what he does at the next level. Obviously, he's going to be the top pick. Good chance he'll be the top pick. But I'm very excited. I think his character, and I've enjoyed watching his interviews off the field. So I'm excited to see how that translates to the next level.
So if you're a Giants fan, who do you want? John Harbaugh, Jackson Dart, and now a much better and healthier Malik Neighbors to draft for you in the first round?
I know the disciplined pick would be to get some kind of offensive lineman, get Jackson Dart some protection. But, man, I love the kid Downs from Ohio State, the free safety. I think he's
Caleb
an
Downs,
absolute stud. Caleb Downs, there you go. I think he's an absolute stud. And, again, my football knowledge isn't all the way up to par. And if there's an offensive lineman out there that's a can't-miss guy, I might be missing him. But Caleb Downs, as far as skill positions, that guy, to me, is can't miss.
I love that. You guys had that a very unique relationship with the Chiefs to a certain extent. When you played in Kansas City, you played in San Diego and Boston, of course, as well, but in Kansas City. How was that for baseball players and football players, since oftentimes at least parts of the seasons overlap?
Oh, it was incredible. You know, just being able to share the same parking lot as them. You get to run into those guys sometimes. Usually, I would remember towards the end of the year, those guys would be reporting to camp. So we would start to kind of see them in town last couple of weeks, maybe a month. But I also remember Ned Yost and Andy Reid were super cool. And we would always see Andy Reid popping in the locker room. Ned would always tell us that he'd be picking Andy's brain on just winning culture, winning habits, how to be a winner throughout the day in your routine, how teams prepare, winning teams prepare. So, you know, all the sports, it kind of comes together when you talk about routine. The games are obviously different, rules, all that kind of thing. But there seems to be some similarities in the teams that, you know, always win, the winning organization. So the Chiefs have been, you know, the standard almost in all of sports for the last 10 years. So it's been really cool to just hear certain stories and get to be able to meet some of those guys as well.
On the Diggin' Deep podcast that you host, and it's fantastic, and you can follow Eric Hosmer on Twitter, the Real Hos35. But on the Diggin' Deep podcast, what have you found to be the most interesting in hosting that and creating that type of following, and perhaps some of the early on guests that you've had that have surprised you a little bit?
So what really has surprised me the most is I've always tell people the game has changed in such a big way, and these players are so talented, and the way they prepare and train is just admiring and it's admirable. And when I first came into the league, it was weightlifting, it was weight training. A lot of the big trends now in 2011 was we want to take this weight training that we do during the season and take it into the off season. Players usually use spring training to get ready kind of before my time. So that was the new thing in 2011. And you fast forward to my last year on the veteran side, and I felt like mentally these players are really ahead of the game. They all have process development coaches, mental skills, and their approach to the game mentally is super impressive. I remember when we had Bobby Wood Jr. on, just hearing his process, hearing that he journals after games, 3 positives, 3 negatives, he's able to flush things out, is really the next step. Baseball, 162 games. When you're in the middle of it, 300 at-bats in with 300 to go, the mental side really, really kicks in. And these younger players today are well equipped in that area.
Last thing, you played in 4 different markets. And when people go ask me, Shep, if I want to go look at every ballpark, one of my bucket lists is go to every ballpark and watch a baseball game. I mention 4 ballparks specifically. I say you got to go to Boston, and you played there. I say you got to go to Dodger Stadium, and obviously you've played in all these, but you were a home player in Boston. I say the 2 that are underrated, PNC Park in Pittsburgh and Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. I love it. I don't think there's a bad seat in the house. And I don't say that because you're here. I've said this traditionally, even when I was calling games for TV for the Tigers. I loved going to Kansas City. What were the differences or maybe the similarities that made them all great for you as a player between Kansas City, San Diego, the Cubs, and Boston when you played?
Oh, man, just, every ballpark you just mentioned, beautiful, the atmospheres, the environment. But what I really enjoyed taking in throughout the years is experiencing the fans and the fan base, and especially in big game atmospheres. Kansas City was such a special place. The home field advantage that they were able to create for us, such a special bond with that city. The fountains, beautiful ballpark, just everything about it. Boston, I always explain to people, is like a cathedral. You walk out there at night, and it's just perfect, especially playing for the Red Sox. You're in the first base dugout. The first thing you see is that monster wall, and there's just nothing but packed people in the stands. It really is a cathedral. And then Wrigley Field, I mean, again, just when you think about the history of the game, the day games, the crowd. I remember playing there, and it was freezing the first month and a half of the season. Then all of a sudden, about mid-May, the first time of the season, the sun pokes out, and every single fan at Wrigley Field stood up, went nuts, and it was just so cool to experience that energy at Wrigley Field. And finally, San Diego, Petco Park is one of the most beautiful fields in all of baseball. And I've always had a funny idea of Petco, San Diego being kind of the West Coast Cubs, and have day games out there all the time for the Padres because, man, that park is beautiful. It's right in the middle of downtown. It's a young town. And then right outside of center field there, they have the outside park that really, really draws a lot of attention and is really cool for the kids. So I think that'd be cool to see the Padres be kind of the West Coast Cubs and play a lot of day games out there.
Dude, that's a great idea. It really is. Well, I give Kansas City just a massive amount of credit. I remember you were on the field, 2012. Miguel Cabrera wins the Triple Crown. And the reaction that Kansas City fans had there. So you talk about a fan base. That was pretty awesome, right? Being out there in 2012 with the Cabrera's winning the Triple Crown.
Oh, classy bunch, classy group, classy fans out here. And I tell you what, it was really cool to see here at Comerica Park. Not only the fans give Kevin McGonigal a huge ovation after signing that contract, but Gleyber Torres the night before, guy on second base, 8th inning, no outs, hits a ground ball to second base, gets him over. Every fan at Comerica Park stood up, started clapping. So that's really cool to see the fans be so knowledgeable and understand the game.
Hey, really appreciate the time, man. Keep up the great work on the Digging Deep podcast, on what you're doing there in Kansas City. You got great people around you, as you know, with Ryan and HUD to help you along. Loved watching your career. You played the game the right way, and we really appreciate it. Keep up the great work. Continued success, Eric. Thanks for the time this morning.
I appreciate you. And you're right. The guys, Uncle HUD, Ryan, they're great to work with. So appreciate you talking to you and appreciate the kind words.
All right, you bet. Anytime. Safe travels back home. That's Eric Hosmer joining us here on X's and Bros. We're out of here on a Tullymore Thursday. Back with you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody.
In the Den. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official betting partner of the NFL.